Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Gift of Gaming podcast, and on this week's episode, it's a games club. That's not a Final Fantasy. How refreshing. We're on our way to Stardew Valley. What's up? It's me, your host, Darren Wade, and today I am joined by the Nolan brothers, Craig the Critical and Colm. Guys, how are you?
Very well. Thanks for having us on.
Of course.
Great. Again, thank you for having us.
Of course. Colm, it's been a while since you were on. How are you? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Oh, I've been good. I think last time I was chatting to you, I was playing Fallout 4. Since then, I moved on and gave up because it's a huge game, but I did put a lot of time into it. Started playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again, and got to a point where I was really far away from everything, and I just, rather than going back to a town, I just decided to stop playing.
Sounds like leaving 2 games in the dirt here.
Yeah. I was pretty disappointed because the other day we all bought Among Us, which I've also been playing, I should say. We all bought Among Us, and I was like, rather than buy the game, I'll just get my PlayStation subscription, because I looked up on all the games that you get with it, and one of them was Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, the trilogy, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to play that. And then apparently you have to get like the premium, the upper tier level to get that.
Oh my
but
God,
I didn't
really?
realize that, and I only got the middle tier, and after paying like €140, I still can't play that one game I wanted to. I was like, for fuck's sake.
The one thing I will say about the PlayStation Store for that kind of stuff is it's not straightforward. It's like sometimes when you go on to like the PlayStation Store icon and it brings up the whole your deals, your subscriptions.
You won't find them in the store. You have to go one more to the left.
To
I make that mistake every time.
Yeah. And like, because even to find the monthly games, I always go to the store, but it's actually quicker to go to it's not as neat as I'd like it to be.
What's mad is I know this, but I make that mistake every single time. I always go to the store first and can't find them, and
like,
I have to go
what do you
back
mean I can't download where's my new monthly games?
Yeah.
You've just been playing a lot of games that you didn't finish, and one of the game that you couldn't get.
That's essentially it.
And Craig,
Such a sad story.
Craig, what about you?
I have a similar story in that, like, I just went on to the PlayStation Store because I'd gotten to the end of the Little King story. I hadn't quite completed it, but I'd done everything I wanted to do with it, which was great for those who remember their Little King story video.
Yeah.
But I went on to the PlayStation Store just to see what was on offer, and lo and behold, I found No More Heroes 3, which I didn't even know was on the PlayStation because it was a Switch game. Like, the 1 and 2 were originally like Nintendo Wii games, which were great because of the motion controls. But I noticed that Travis Strikes Again, which is like a 2.5 game, and No More Heroes 3 were all up on PlayStation for free. So I downloaded both of those.
Is that the one with the kind of 2D animated art style? Am I thinking of?
No, it's just a wacky otaku.
No, I think I know the.
It's a guy who just wants to bang some girls, and she will only date the hottest assassin. So he's like, okay, I'll be the number 1 assassin if it means I'll get.
There's a premise. There's a premise
and
right there.
I think he won a lightsaber in like a contest at the very beginning of the first game or something. So he kills people with that lightsaber, and he goes around just having fun. But it's a very fun game, doesn't take itself seriously in any way, just mad shit happens constantly, and there's lots of video game references throughout. It's very much like a Scott Pilgrim versus the World type of game, where just wacky shit is happening constantly,
which is nice and refreshing to go into sometimes.
It is as well, because like when you kill people, just coins appear and stuff like that, type of shit, just lots of blood, depending on what version you're watching.
Nice. I settled into I've really settled into Baldur's Gate 3. This is my playthrough now. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to play
through.
Did
you start again?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You'll never do it. Not if you gave up halfway through, because once you get to that point, you're going to go, oh.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. But it brings me to the post show today. I thought what I would do with you guys is, it's been a while since I've done a Rate My Cast episode where I pick who I would cast as certain characters from video games. So for the post show, I'm going to do the party. So the likes of your Gale, your Halcyon, your Minthara.
Are you just going to name a bunch of actors who could play these?
Who I think would be good, and I'll just get you guys to vote on. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, you can go to patreon.com/the gift of gaming for all our post-show content for the cost of a coffee a month. It's a great deal. But we're not here to talk about those things. Today we're jumping into a games club. And it's been a while since we've done a games club that didn't revolve around the world of Final Fantasy VII. So this will be fresh. So just for those who it's been a while since we've actually broke down the rules of a game club, this isn't exactly like a pure review, which would be silly of us to do at this stage. This game is 2016, so we'd be a little bit late to the party. It's all about just us kind of going through the game, what we liked, didn't like about it, things we enjoy, things we didn't enjoy. No, it's the same thing. And then like kind of, I'd have a few extra thoughts about like what you guys would have done to improve it, all that kind of stuff. But I think I'll just jump into, just off the top of your head, Colm or Craig, whoever wants to jump in here and go first. Just your thoughts on Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley being, for those who don't know, a kind of farming sim in the genre of the Harvest Moon kind of series.
Well, I mean, myself and Colm like grew up playing a lot of those Harvest Moon games, so we were like very used to all those mechanics before they came out. Like I would say Stardew Valley resembles Friends of Mineral Town more than any other game. Like it's very much Friends of Mineral Town, but like it's bigger and goes on a bit longer. But the stuff they've introduced in Stardew Valley is great. That like there's so much to build, there's so much you can do. The game seems to just go on. It's got so much lore that I didn't realize at the time, but like on subsequent playthroughs, I've just kind of found more and more things, little notes by people's bedside tables and stuff like that. I'm like, oh wow, that actually means something, and I just the first time I wouldn't have cared about. But the overall plot of like the town versus the mega corporation is just a cool angle that's really well represented by those spirits or the cola, Jaja cola, whatever foundation, whichever side you pick. I love the idea of that. I just wish that when you actually went to the market that the prices in Jaja cola were actually cheaper, but they're not. If they were, then it would be great to see what people would do. If they would be like, no, I want my seeds cheaper, and they go, but they're not. They're the same price.
So what's
I'm
the
like,
point?
why do that? I guess it's just to make sure people don't actually make the moral wrong decision and actually play the game how it was intended to be played.
Now, what about you, Colm? Your kind of first impressions, or just the top of your head, your thoughts on Stardew Valley?
Yeah, I think Stardew Valley is like one of them games that you can pick up and play kind of at any point. If you're having a bad time, pick it up and go for it. If you're having a good time, going to share it with your friends or whoever, just pick it up and go for it. I will say, having recently tried to play it on a playthrough that I hadn't played in months to years even, it's not the kind of game that you can kind of pick up and just play on from where you had years ago. You're like, the beginning of the game is very
user friendly,
so relaxing, like you're just developing, you're always upgrading, you're just trying to better your life, and just like that initial beginning is the best, because like you have just what the game gives you, and then from there it's just on you to just upgrade and fucking make everything as good as you can. There's something really like what's the word for it? Just like very, just overwhelmingly contentedness or satisfaction.
It's
from,
very,
like,
it's so
doing
relaxing just to go into, because I mean, like, I think we all jumped into it like over the last couple of days in preparation for this episode, and like that I had a save file like you guys, and I jumped in, and there was lots going on my farm.
Yep.
And I immediately, I did a run around my farm, I checked out my relationships with the townsfolk, and I said, nope, and just hit the reset. Just had to do a hard reset.
I was exactly like you, and that all I did was go around town just trying to find out what I was doing beforehand. I had no memory of what I'd been trying to do or working towards. And at the end of the day, I just assumed that my animals might be dead because I didn't touch them today, and I couldn't remember how much maintenance they require or if I needed to harvest the crops today. So I just hit reset rather than continue the day.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't continue with this.
So what would be both of your experience? I mean, you said you guys kind of grew up with like Harvest Moon, so you guys have played a lot of farming sims over the years then.
The first one I ever played was like on an emulator on your old PC, and I played the original Harvest Moon, which was it called Harvest Moon at that stage? I think it was, yeah. Oh, it changed to whatever it's called now, Harvest Moon, and it was like the 16-bit version. I think it was like the one from the NES or Super Nintendo, and it was amazing. It was just like my first kind of introduction to it, and then years later they start making Game Boy DS and 3DS versions, and like even GameCube versions that we would have got and played. But yeah, like that was one of my first kind of feels for it, and there was like just something about that upgrading your tools and stuff. And like in one of the original Harvest Moons, there's like a goddess that like you're walking into an open field, and then a cutscene goes off, and the goddess asks you if you dropped something. She takes out a gold hammer or whatever kind of tool that it is, and if you're like, yes, I did, then the goddess will just be like, oh, well, you're a liar and you're not deserving of my worthy tool or whatever. And if you say no, she's just like, I love your honesty, you are worthy of this. And like that was like my first kind of like getting to play that like as a youngin', just being like, oh, I was rewarded for being good.
I'll be honest forever.
No,
they were, so I mean, I wouldn't have played too many farming sims growing up, with the exception of I got into, you guys remember Farmville on Facebook?
No.
You ever do
Yeah,
Farmville?
well, I never played it. But
Oh,
I
it
know
was
of
it was gross. It was gross. It was one of those real addictive like constantly log on. We are when Facebook
South
was
Park
big.
did an episode on it one time.
Yeah. And that's essentially what it was like, and that was kind of one of the most amount of times I'd spent on kind of like the farming sim. I'd done a lot of the top down build your kind of cities type thing like Zeus or medieval knights and things like that, but not in the farming genre. But playing Stardew, because Andrew had recommended it to me, he was like, you have to play this game back in 20. But probably when I got back, because I was on the rally in 2016 when it was released. It was probably when I got back from New Zealand at the time was when I finally jumped into it. I was a bit late. Really enjoyed it, and what gets me, which is I think an important thing to note, is this game is made by a singular person, which is
It's hard to believe that.
it's
Crazy.
It's so impressive, man. And it was the kind of thing that got me, and I still haven't tried to, and I really should get up off my arse and give it a go in terms of getting into.
But do you believe it was really made by just one guy?
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Concerned Ape is what's the guy's name? Eric Barone. Yeah.
Do you know? Okay, so how long did it take him to make the game?
Oh, I'd say he was probably working on it for a good few years.
I'd say a fair few years, right?
Yeah.
But since he's finished the game, he's come back and he's made numerous expansions.
He's made he's
But each of those expansions have taken way longer than it ever did to make the game.
Well,
and I'm just like, how does that make sense?
Well,
so
go for it.
And I was going to say the multiplayer expansion was a thing that he had no idea how to do. Which is, I think, because when he brought out the multiplayer, that took a long time, and it took a long time to hit like consoles. He was able to manage it relatively quickly.
Yeah, sure. That was the first
computers.
time he ever played. Well, I ever played it. Yeah.
But he struggled to get it online for consoles. But that's, I think, because he had zero experience in the console infrastructure. But I'll see how long it took him to make it. But I mean,
that 1.6 update came out years ago for the PC. And we don't have it on console.
I think
and
it
I'm
is
just like,
now.
what is he doing?
The 1.5
surely he has
is
enough
out
money.
for sure.
Because like when people make a ton of money, I get mad when they don't hire more people because they have an obligation to fucking put out the content. You can't just go on like George R. R. Martin. I'm going to wait fucking 15 years to release this book.
Hey, when you've made it, you can keep on.
He hasn't charged extra for all these extra DLCs, you could call them. So I think that's pretty.
That's amazing.
Wonderful by him. And what else about Eric Brown? Oh, so when he started making Stardew Valley, initially it wasn't necessarily going to be a full game. He was just making a game based on Harvest Moon, like based on a farming simulator, and it just started to grow wings with little details that he was putting into more and more. So like it kind of began as like a project to show that he could make a game and then develop it into a game.
I had heard that the creator of Stardew the creator of Harvest Moon loves Stardew Valley. And
there's probably so many things like that.
Delighted that he made it. Yeah.
So it took him 4.5 years to make it. I'm just checking to see, did he do it by himself? Concerned Ape is a team of one. Now he did, like in terms of, so he began working in 2012, released it in 2016. He was praised for creating the game independently as its sole designer, programmer, animator, artist, composer, and writer. He worked 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4.5 years. It's pretty impressive. And what I like
if
about
it's
it
true.
is, I mean, I would assume so. I mean, anybody could probably prove if they worked for him during that development time. But what I like about it as well is that he's one of my favorite things, which is what I kind of wanted to touch on, and talking about farming sims and what I love about those kind of relaxation sims, like the chill, the cozy games, is the soundtrack, is the ambience. But when I was looking up in preparation for this episode, he's a game creator because of Stardew Valley, but he's a musician. So he had music behind him and composition behind him, but the soundtrack for Stardew Valley is amazing.
It's real nice.
It's so chill.
It suits the tone so well. Even the noises at night, like the all those seem to like fit so well into the world.
Atmospheric. The whole thing is so atmospheric. Colm, I might just get you to just jump in closer to the mic just anytime you're speaking, because I think it's struggling to pick you up here. But yeah, I think that's another thing that I found so impressive anytime I played the game. And it's one of those things that brought me a bit of joy, being like, wow, no, I'm not going to be able to work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4.5 years to develop a game because I have another job which I need to keep or whatever. But I looked at it and I'm like, I kind of would love to just give it a whirl, And I think Farming Simulator is one of those things that would be...
It's one of the mechanics make sense in your head to do, I think it's...
Yeah.
Plus, it is Harvest Moon. Make no mistake, he copied the game.
Yeah, but we were only looking at before we hopped on, Colm. What was that? Cattle?
Cattle County or Country?
Cattle Country, whatever it was, and it's such a rip of Stardew Valley. So I think you're always going to get that.
Yeah.
It's in those kind of indie game developers, you're always going to get that rip from a rip, whatever. But I wanted to go on to, I suppose, for you guys the gameplay loop for this, because it's not just a farming simulator. You've got like the great thing about Stardew Valley I found is that you can choose in your day which limited energy, because Stardew Valley, much like, I mean, I don't know if the Harvest Moon games had it, but you've got an energy bar,
Exactly,
and
the
you're
same,
kind
yeah.
of up against time as well, because time constantly moves on throughout the day, and it won't let you work like a lot of games. Certain games, like, I mean, I remember playing not a farming simulator, but playing Dredge recently enough. You can continue on through the night just going through your, doesn't make you stop when it gets too late in terms of you've got to dock, but things get weird when you stay up too late. But Stardew is one of those things where 2 a.m. that's it, you're gonna
your
go
character, no matter what, will always just
fall
KO.
unconscious.
In fairness, though, he does wake up at 6 a.m. every day. Like, you can't sleep out or anything. So it's
exactly.
fair.
And what I like about it is it really kind of you have to make a decision. Am I going to farm today? Am I going to develop relationships in the town today, or am I going to go?
Well,
mining
sometimes it just
monsters
depends on the weather, Darren. You have to like check that station and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Or
you know?
your luck for the day as well. Like if you have bad luck, there's no point going to the mines. It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to
I'll
find
be
stuff.
friends with people.
That took me so long to realize that was, because it, like, you'd go into the fortune teller thing. It was like, oh, you look at the stars today, and I was like, what does that even mean? And then I go and waste my time fucking about in the town.
I had to look that up, but like it makes a massive difference. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to go deeper into the mine, like you'll find the doors so much quicker. Like the staircases
to get down.
Yeah.
So that was I suppose the thing I wanted to get into with the gameplay loop is that aside from the Harvest Moon, which is kind of the pure farming simulator, there was no monster hunting really in Harvest Moon. Sure, there wasn't.
No, not in the
but they made
first ones.
a different series after that called Rune Factory, which did focus more on the monster hunting type thing. But then if Harvest Moon games, no, that part is new to Stardew.
Yeah, see, that's what I like about Stardew, is it's a balance of the two, because as much as I've often spoken very highly of Animal Crossing on this podcast, the Animal Crossing, there was one thing and one thing to do only, and it's just to relax. Like, there is there's no action, there's no phase.
I hate it for that reason, because like it's like Stardew Valley, because it costs like what, 20 quid or something, that has just so much going.
Yeah.
And Animal Crossing is just random animals that have about 10 lines of pointless dialogue that doesn't mean anything or doesn't.
But I can
interact
choose
with
to
you.
turn my bench left or right on this place to make it look better, Craig. So,
yeah.
but yeah, so that was the thing that kind of hooked me for Stardew Valley, was the mine, and again, like, that combined with the guy who created the game, his genius for the ambiance.
Yeah.
Like when you go into the mines and it can be a bit spooky, and the noises of all the different creatures, you can hear the bats before you see them. You can hear
you hear that noise coming towards you. I love the effects that they have in those
The
games.
squeak and the flapping of the wings. It's like,
it's such simple things, but you're like, oh, I'm definitely down in the fucking.
And sometimes if you go down too deep and you're just like, oh shit, I'm not meant to be here yet, like, you know, because
I'm
your
way
weapons
underpowered.
just aren't good enough.
Like the mines, definitely it goes in levels, layers even. So like it's copper, then it's silver, then it's gold, and like on the silver levels, that's kind of where it's like frosty, and then on the gold level, it's kind of dark and mysterious. Like you go in, and if you've no torch, like
you can't see
the spooky black kind of characters come out, and they're like,
you just see their eyes.
Sometimes just like poison gas everywhere or something. You're just like, what's going on?
And
on
you
this
get
floor?
you can go into a room sometimes, and it immediately calls with this ambush of like loads of bats that you have to fight off.
Oh,
for
the infestations and stuff.
So I think like from a gameplay loop perspective, it offers. I mean, I'm not massively experienced in the world of farming sims, but I'll compare it to Farmville as my only example. Sure. It's got so much more there to play with, because like you said, you can wake up one day, and I loved it because there were some days where I'd wake up and you'd hear the rain.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm off to the mines.
It was great getting excited by rain, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
that's a great feature that a game can get you excited if it rains.
Because there's certain, like, as you said, Colm, it's like, there's certain, like, if you're going to play the game and really fucking play the game, it's about making the most of all the time available to you, because you've got limited seasons that you've got to work with in terms of getting your veggies and fruits and stuff grown. And of course, at the same time, you need to keep yourself balanced by making stuff with your resources from the mines. So like, if your luck's up, if it's raining, if it's whatever else, and like rain was so great because especially at the start of the game, it's like, I don't want to have to go out and fucking water.
Yeah, because
all
watering
of my
plants could take up all your energy at the start of the game.
You wake up and you're like, free day.
I don't know if it happens in the main one-player game, but in multiplayer, if you just sit in your bed and don't sleep, you recharge your energy. It might work in the solo game, but obviously, like at some point, you get access to the springs.
The hot
and
spring
you can
comes in
rejuvenate.
summer the first year, which is great.
Yeah.
For that first month, you've just no energy. Plus, going into the hot spring takes so long that it's almost not worth it, because like you have to go in, go to the back, and then there's the animation, and it slowly goes up, and then you have to walk back out again. Like you lose about 3 or 4 hours just going to the hot springs.
Yeah,
but it's great to do, especially because it's so close to the mines. But one of my favorite features, and the mines are great, especially going there early and like upgrading your weapon to like copper or silver early on can feel brilliant, because you know you're ahead of the game, like, you know. But finding all the different characters in town and like building their hearts is easily my favorite thing to do, because each character has at least 3 or 4 cutscenes depending on how many hearts you've gotten with them.
Yeah.
And like for the romantic characters, there's about 5 or 6, maybe even a few more. But with most of them, it really builds their character, and like you learn a lot more about them, and then they start treating you differently to the point where like it becomes a game where you've like this family and friends type of thing.
Yeah.
And so like you really building these relations with these characters and learning all sorts of crazy things about them. Like for one, did you guys know that the wizard is Abigail's father?
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. Like when you figure that out,
I had
like
no
through
idea.
all the text in the game, you just go, oh my god. Like it's clear and obvious. Like she's got the purple hair, he's got the purple hair. He references that he has a daughter here in the town. On Wednesdays, I think it is, she actually goes and stands right beside his castle. I'm like, look at all these little things if you just delve deep and find it, like, you know?
Yeah.
There's rumors that your man Linus is actually the god of the whole game, like, because anytime you like pass out, he finds you and like somehow brings you home, that type of thing. Like, so he's just like
And he
this
robs
guardian
you.
angel.
Does he rob you?
Well, like he finds you, and then the next day, loads
wake
of your
up-
shit's missing.
And he says loads of your money's gone and stuff like that as well. I think that was the nice thing as well about the game for me. With I mean, I suppose we'll stick on the character relationships. Craig, you've kind of brought us, segued us in there, so we might as well stick on that. But I fell for some of the characters as well. You know, that cutscene very early on in the game where you're about to head home at night, and it cuts to Linus trying to find food from the trash, and the mayor's coming out, and he's almost like, you know, banging dustbin lids to get him to go away or whatever else, as if he's some sort of like, you know, trash panda or whatever else. And you can choose this. I love as well, because the first time I played the game I was like, I'm gonna be real sweet, whatever else, but you can be a real dick about that situation as well. But that whole thing, and that's why I get very impressed about it being only done by one person, because the tree of decisions that you can make and how it affects whether or not your relationships increase with these like you know, 2D pixel art characters. But I love that, like simple things like that, those little cutscenes. I'm like, oh, Linus, I feel sorry for that guy, you know? The guy's living in a tent up north.
And very often, like, the cutscenes will let you, like, if there's another character involved, it'll let you choose a side, and it's like, whoever you pick, you kind of give more affection to them, and you might slight the other person. Like, I think there's a time where, you know, Penny, the girl that looks after all the kids, and, like, brings them to the library. There's a time where George, the man in the wheelchair, is like trying to reach something in his mailbox, and she comes over to help, and he's like, I don't need your damn help, and she's just like, oh, George, and you can step in and be like, oh, Penny, you shouldn't try to like take away his independence, or you can be like, hey, George, you was just trying to help.
George, calm the fuck down,
yeah,
George.
so you have to like side with Penny. You have to be like, George, calm down, and then he apologizes. So I think that's the correct decision.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you slate like Penny, is he just like, yeah, I am.
You can't. Penny is the nicest person in the entire town.
Yeah.
Like she's had the most tragic life. Like has to raise kids that aren't her own because nobody else will. Like she does absolutely everything for everyone and gets nothing in return.
Because there is a couple of sad stories. Sue, is it Pam who's the alcoholic?
Pam and Shane, yeah.
I know Pam is Penny's man.
Yes, yeah.
Who does nothing all day but lay around, and Penny has to constantly clean up after her.
Until you get the community centre up and running, or the bus up and running. Then she's a driver. But she's drunk drives like all the time. It's always the next morning, in fairness, at 10 o'clock. So maybe, you know, she has a bit of time to sleep it off.
I like the idea that she gets her life back together when, you know, you fix the bus, and then like you can build her a house then later on, I think, with the community money.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
see,
I had got that done.
So did you guys? So I guess it's probably important. Did you finish? I mean, finish the game. Did you get a credit roll in the game?
No, because I refused to get married. So I can't finish the game.
Why did you refuse to get married?
Because I'd heard that as soon as whatever person you marry, that they will only just hang around your farm and they lose all trace of who they were before. Like their calendar and what they used to do is gone. They just become a kind of default wife that will do a couple of things but not much.
Oh, okay.
So they lose all the habits that they had before they were your wife. And I was like, I can't do that.
Just marry someone like Clive. He'll have to go back to work.
But like, because for me, it was Abigail. But like, she's so much independent. She likes to hang out and play music by the mines and things like that, and go over and visit her estranged dad, the wizard and stuff. I'm like, she's a great personality and unique way of going around. So I'm like, I can't just keep her in the farm. That's outrageous. No, I won't do it. So like, I've never got married.
And you have to get her credit roll, you have to actually get married and go through that section, is it?
I think you've 100% the game. I think you have
to get married or something. Okay, because it's like because the whole premise of the game is that your grandfather left you a farm, right? and that you have to look after it. And then, but doesn't he like appear to you in the third
in year
year?
3, yeah, he's almost like a little checklist to see what, like, if you've done this and that, you know. I've never actually finished. I've only ever gotten as far as the 3rd year. So
yeah, me too. Because I was like, oh, I'll get to and see the grandpa thing because I heard he appears in year 3. I never got to it. I mean, I played to year 3, but never got to it. But that's the thing as well. And I don't think that's in a case that I think the game isn't worthy of continuing playing. I think just the way I enjoy playing games was that at that point, with the way my farm was developed, I love a hard reset. I love a hard reset and to redesign. Yeah, you know, that kind of way. But yeah, just before we kind of finish up on the relationships with the characters, one of my other favorite bits in it is you've got the guy, and he's set out to be kind of this over the top villain almost. The guy's in charge of Jaja Cola or whatever it is. But where he comes in, and is it who runs the Pierre runs the little grocery store.
Although Pierre's also a bit of a dickhead. You know, like, he just wants to make money too. Like, he's just as bad as that guy.
Just as if
you go into the lore of Pierre, he's also bad. Like, you know. Like,
I love that.
He even has cutscenes where he's like, you know what? If I just open more and more of Pierre's shops around the world, I'll make a fortune. He cares a lot about money. Yeah.
And there's also, isn't it the theory that the mayor has a relationship?
That's no theory. There's scenes where you see it happen. They even added a new update where if you run over to a bush at a certain time and press X or A, they both just scramble out of it. Like,
I love it.
And they're like in their 50s. Like,
It's
one of the notes. You know, like, you can find those mystery notes lying around after you finish the main dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, okay.
It might be after the community center, but like, you find these notes around, and one of them says be here at 11 p.m. or something.
And that's how you go to it, like, whatever. Because one of the things I thought was funny, it's one of your early quests. Like, it's that's what I loved about the game, or that's how I fell in love with the game early on, where I was like, this thing doesn't take itself too seriously, and there's a bit of fun in it, because one of the earliest quests is the mayor's like, he's like, I can't find my shorts, and you have to have a good relationship with characters before you can go into their own personal quarters in each of their houses. But when you go to Marnie's farm and you're speaking to her to shop to her, in her bedroom you can see the purple shorts on the ground, and I was like, this game's got a good sense of humor. I like that. All that, like, it builds such a cozy town. Like, I love that town. Do you know what I mean? It's the difference.
There's at least a dozen characters that I think are brilliantly written,
and it's that thing where I think the likes of Animal Crossing and other ones probably fail a little bit, is that you have to create that atmosphere yourself, and if you're not creative enough, like, I remember I made one or two, or like, I think I had like 2 or 3 good islands in Animal Crossing. Only one of them I ever like really enjoyed, like moving around. Like, it felt cozy, it felt nice. The other ones were just like, oh, I hate this place. And that's not how you should feel. But Stardew Valley, at least, there's not customization to its benefit, because the place is such a nice place to walk around and have a fun time with. I guess after that, I suppose the good place to go to would be, and we're just jumping around everywhere here, but the multiplayer option, which is the thing that came in for us. Colm, you and me have a good Stardew Valley multiplayer story from
good times.
Was that?
No, it wasn't COVID.
It was 2019, I'd say. So so it was when I got back from New Zealand. It was that you and me. We knew there was multiplayer on the PC versions of the game, which we didn't have. We only had it on PlayStation. And I went up to you.
So me, Daniel, and Andy got it when it released on the Switch, which was, I think, a couple of weeks or a few days before the PlayStation got it. So we were playing it, and you guys really wanted to play it.
Yes, that's what it was. And we knew it was coming out for the PlayStation. And on this day, I was like, oh, it looks like it's being released this day. Colm, I'll come up to yours, we'll play it. So we sat there, and I got to yours, and we were chilling out, and I was like, oh, like, the update isn't out yet. I was like, feck. Well, we just started our own farms, then the two of us, and we played like on our own farms. Like, two of us sitting there. I brought like my own monitor and the PlayStation, little LAN party, like, you know. Yeah. And we played probably until about, I don't know,
2.
And when I was switching off the game, or like, about like half to 1 o'clock, and I was switching off the game to say maybe I should go home. And when I switched it off, and I said, actually, I'm just going to go back in and do one more thing before I finish, it was like an update was available for the game. And I looked at you and I was like, Colm, the update's here. So at like 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock, we then started the multiplayer farm. And I think you were like, oh, you can just stay here. But I remember going to bed when the birds were singing.
Yeah.
And that's the worst. But that's how addictive the loop is.
Time.
We played all day in yours, like, separately, just on our own farms. Yeah. But we're willing to just restart it again.
The amount of times you'll say one more day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll always, like, when they finish a day, I won't just turn it off. I always run outside the door, check my post, and just see if there's a little cutscene going to happen. And
then you're stuck, and that's it. You're stuck for another day, because
you can't even save until you get to the end of the day. So you're like, well, I gotta finish.
It's the same thing with Civilization. 6, because that would always be a turn, and it's one more turn. And I think it was one of those things where sometimes you'd be eggs into the game, and the game might ask you, are you sure you don't want to go for one more turn? And I was like, don't you fucking treat me like that. I know what you're trying to do. But yeah, gameplay loop in that game was amazing because you'd so many options of what you could do within your day, which isn't the case for a lot of the Sims. I think it's just mostly to do with farming. I have a funny one to ask you guys to see how you guys designed your farms, because our good friend Andy G, who's living over in New Zealand, before he moved away, he was a big Stardew Valley person, and he showed me his farm at one point, and it broke my heart to see how he had built his farm. But how do you guys, like, when you're prepping your farm, are you all about efficiency? Do you go for a little bit of vibrancy and how it looks?
I like efficiency, but I prefer it to just kind of blend in a little bit with what's there, like the way the kind of, like, whichever farm you chose, I want it to look like that. So if there's kind of mountains and stuff like that, I like to get stuff, neatly around these things, like a pathway of trees maybe beside an area of mountain or that type of thing. Or if I've just got a lot of water, maybe just like some fields alongside it and things like that. But you just want it to be aesthetic to, the current farm that you're working on, which for me is always the Four Corners one, because it's brilliant and it's the multiplayer version.
So that's another good thing about the updates, because when we all first played the game, you had the standard farm, and then they released kind of like a choice of 4 farms. So you could have like the rock one, the water one, the nighttime one with the monsters. And then only recently, when I turned it on, there's a new beach one, which wasn't there before the last time I played.
It's hard to use that one, apparently.
The beach one, because you can't in the beach one, the sprinklers don't work, so you'd have to constantly water your crops or pray.
So that was an instant no for me.
yeah, that'd be a tough one to play. But what about you, Colm? How would you design your farms? Are you an efficiency or a?
I'm mostly efficiency. Like at the very beginning, I will focus mostly on kind of clearing away the farm, but I'll like clear away right below the house, close to the shipping bin. Like I'll always begin there, and I won't like go too far across. I'll always kind of do it in rows, and I'll set it up to kind of be like, a row of 3 and go across like 3, and then maybe continue that pattern. And then when the sprinklers become available, I'll get rid of the middle tile and like throw in the sprinkler, and I'll just like slowly progress my layout based on what access I have to the sprinklers.
Yeah,
that'd be my go-to as well. But now when I play, it's a race to get sprinklers because I hate watering.
But it's so energy consuming having the watering can. So yes, you'd be. I mean that sounds efficient, but would you be like in terms of the funny story about Andy was that I was playing it one time and he was looking at me run around my farm and he goes, God, Darren, your farm is so nice, because I would have had like a little pathway, like a little tree-lined avenue. It served no purpose apart from it looked nice or whatever.
I would also do that.
Like a little tree-lined avenue, and I'd try and grow certain things. I'd have a little orchard down here with stone walls. All that kind of stuff.
These are things you would do on like year 2, year 3, right? You wouldn't prioritize these at the start of the game?
Well, I mean, once I unlocked them as a recipe, or I had enough money to buy a sapling, that's kind of what I never like. And it's funny because I remember Andy and Kev were talking to me about like the most efficient fucking way to play Stardew Valley. Get your strawberries in spring. Get your strawberries in spring and sell them, because they were all about the money making thing.
Stress inducing immediately.
But I mean, it worked for them, because I remember like Andy showed me his thing and his stats, loads of fucking money or whatever else. And I played it for 3 years in the game, and always was scrambling for cash the whole time. But the place looked amazing, and Andy was like, God, Darren, your place looks so nice. I was like, well, let me see yours. It was an industrial nightmare, lads. It was an absolute fucking industrial nightmare. If he could have had like pigs and cows in a row in fucking tiny little fucking cage things, he would have. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like his thing was just pure efficiency. Because you go into that you get the greenhouse thing that you can make, and then you have the warehouses. And I went into the warehouse and it was nothing but, and it was fun to see because you'd obviously just put everything in. But when you put an item in to create another item into certain things, you've got like the winery,
is it, or
like with the winery, like the cheese maker, all that kind of stuff. And the other way, when you put something in, they begin to animate, like they move and they swell and stuff like that. It looks really cool. But I walked into Andy's warehouse thing that he had, and it was all just fucking, everything was going off, puffing off smoke. I was like, this is way too much for me.
By the time you get to year 3 or something, you do want more of that type of stuff.
So, and I did, but much to my, like, I'd make a terrible businessman, obviously. Like, I just tried to make the place look beautiful. But I had like a couple, and I could have had loads more, but I was like, no, that doesn't look good if I've got like fucking 4 cheese presses here. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Whereas Andy had like a fucking million of them. And I looked at it and I was like, this is like my living nightmare. Why do you play a cozy game to make it look like this? But I like that there's different styles of play. And he just went off and could buy whatever he wanted at any point in time. He'd go to like the cute little was it a mouse thing that sells the hats?
Yeah.
Down the south, sometimes on the map where the little mouse appears and he sells it. Like Andy could buy them whenever he wanted, or buy anything from the traveling merchant. I always was like, I'd go there and I'd be like, I've got 7 gold, sir. What can I? Because I was always so poor. But I love that you can play the game in such different ways as well. What have I got here on my list? Oh, the multiplayer. How did you guys find? Because that was a later introduction. Did you guys play the multiplayer much? We didn't get.
The first time I ever played the game was multiplayer, and it was with Daniel and Andy. And Daniel immediately just started fishing, right from day one. He was just like, I'm just going to fish. And Andy was like, no, Craig, you got to put the house over here, and you got to... And he was like full on. But because I had no idea what I was doing, like anytime I hit the pause button to just see like what tools I had or what way things work, I'd unpause and 4 hours had passed because you can't pause on multiplayer. And I was just like, I'm wasting the day without doing anything because I don't know how to play. And like several days were going by and Andy's like, Craig, you haven't put this down yet. And I was really stressed. So like after a few hours of that, I just was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own file and learn how to play by myself because I'm wasting all the time here because I just don't know how to play. And the pause screen is essential for this game. And
I think I'd be the same whereby multiplayer is you all have to be the same level in the game in order for the multiplayer to be, I think, enjoyable.
But it's a great idea, and it's fantastic that you can add like extra houses and things like that, so everyone can have an area in their farm. And that 4 corners map is perfect for it, even though I play that map completely solo just because there's so much space. And you can have like a whole area for your farm, and you're like, they can graze. I give them a whole side of the map to graze. They have a fenced area, but once the grass runs out, I open up the secondary area, and then they go in there. Like, and then I have the first area for the grass to grow back, and then I close that off until the next season, that type of thing. So they have so much space. It's great.
Yeah, it is. And I love in terms of the game was a thing, and it's a pity I didn't keep going and playing because the multiplayer I never played. Multiplayer is that thing where you need everybody all the time to actually make any sort of real progress in it, like, because I would play Stardew Valley a lot by myself, but it would have been like late at night and stuff like that. It's not when I'm, hey, do you want to meet up and sit down for 7 hours and play Stardew Valley so we can actually make some progress? It never really worked out like that. Yeah. But what I loved about loved and hated about the multiplayer, because I played it with Kev and Andy at one point, and again, like, Andy was just, he loves doing that. Like, and not my brother Andy G, who had a horrible industrial nightmare. He loves just like fucking with you in games like that.
Massively. But Andy G, like, even though it's your first time playing, Andy G would be like, oh, hey guys, I'll go off and I'll get us the backpack upgrade. And we're like, oh, cool, thanks. He knew damn well that when he bought that upgrade, it would only work on him.
And he spent all your money.
And he spent all of our money. I was like, oh, sorry, guys. But he knew damn well he did.
He's such a little snake for things like that. Because I think I was like quietly, because I think that was the thing. He knew I was going for aesthetics again when we played our multiplayer one. And I remember like, I'm going to put a few fences up around here. I don't want my fields just to be like unfenced, but I'll do a little nice skate, make it here by the water or whatever else. And I just see Andy coming along, walking, and be like, "Who? What are you doing there, Darren?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just making a fence or whatever." And I see him taking out his axe and running down my fence. Like, you leave me alone. So that was the frustrating thing, is that when you're trying to play a game like that, you need to make sure that the people are on the same level as you, because Andy is way too much of a messer for me to actually to play through it.
Yeah. Well, like with the multiplayer myself, I got Tori into the game by playing it, and like she'd never really played before, so it took a while of like kind of guiding her through the game, what was like fun to do, teaching her how to fish, and like days that we're going to the mines and like all this little stuff. And that was so fucking nice and lovely. Like, the only thing that worked against us there was I've been playing Stardew Valley for about 2 months on solo, and then she saw me playing. I was like, oh, I could get into that, and then we start playing with her. So we still got like near a year finished, but it was just the enthusiasm in me burned out. I was like,
I've been playing this game for a lot. Yeah, that's fair. And speaking of fishing, actually, because that's one of the things I like it, like the little mini games within this game. I'm really jumping from left, right, but this is the conversation. We're not. This isn't the series. Yeah. But I loved fishing in that game. The mini game was so simple, but with just the right level of difficulty, I thought at times, to be like, this is a really fucking. So for those of you who don't know, it gives you like a tiny little bar that. There's a little fish icon that jumps up and down the bar at random speeds or whatever else, depending on what type of fish it is. And you have to tap the A button or the X button, whatever it is, to bring this little green coloured section of the bar that you have to, the lure thing, and you have to get it to hover over the fish as it jumps up and down. And if you hold it over the fish for long enough, you'll catch the fish. It took me a while to figure it out, but when I got it,
to figure that out.
When I got the hang of it, I was like, this is one of the greatest fucking little mini games ever. And it
sucks at the start though, because you fail with like 90% of the fish are like too fast because your thing is too small. you know, and you're just like, oh, there's a trout, I can actually get this one.
Yeah. And I think depending on the different, because with different, if you're spending time doing different things, you tend to spend a bit more time with the characters in the village associated with those things. So I actually became really good friends with Willie,
Just
the
by
fisherman.
standing next to him.
But because I'd stand next to him and I'd always like have a chat to him. I'm like, I wonder what Willie likes, because that's what you have to. Nice, because you have to find out. And that was one of the things that I thought was probably a little bit too overwhelming in the game for me, was that you've got hundreds of these items, and the townsfolk can be so finicky. But once I found out what Willie liked. Thank you. It was good that I'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to go down and fish in the sea, so I'll always bring whatever it is that Willie likes, and I'll always have it there. So mine and his relationship just automatically, because I was actively going to spend time with him at that spot, because it's like, oh, I want to catch all the sea fish thing. So it has this kind of really organic way of being like, I loved fishing and became really good friends with the town's fishermen, just organically. I love that about the game.
I became friends with every single townsperson because I actively pursued it as like my main interest in the game. Like, you know, because I wanted to see all of those cutscenes. So I have everyone on 10 star. That's the first thing I did. I
would have found that exhausting, because I didn't know. I didn't know what
when
people
you spent
liked.
enough time, because I guess when it's your second or third playthrough, you know them a bit more. So I'll know instantly that the little kid Vincent loves snails because he's a little kid, like, you know. Whereas Abigail loves pumpkins because she's like really into Halloween and stuff like that. And you can kind of get a sense for people. Like Haley's obviously going to love the flower that looks just like her and things like that, you know. And like you said, he's
so is there anything apart from, so in the eventually I had to look it up online to see what certain characters like, because I was like, I'm not going through this fucking trial and error job.
But because I gave every character a gift every couple of days, I didn't have to give things they love, just that once they said something nice to me back, I would always take a mental note of it and then be like, okay, I'm getting points for this.
See, that part overwhelmed me in the game for sure. I was like, there's too many people who enjoy or dislike too many of the many things I could bring them, that I was like, I'm focused on I'd always go for the chats with people, but I focused on 2 or 3 people. And what was funny was that in hindsight, I got really excited at one point because I realized that Pam loved pale ales. But then later on I realized, like, wait, I'm feeding a terrible habit here. Like, that's
it was the same with Shane. You can get them both a drink
and they love it. Like, and I was like, God, they're so easy to cater for. But it wasn't until later I was like, fuck, like, I'm fucking feeding alcoholics.
You're ruining Penny's life.
Yeah. And Penny was the one who was trying to course.
There's a bus crash the next day. And like, oh no.
But that's what I mean. Like, you talk about the game right now, it's got so much of that character. Do you know what I mean? Like, it really does. Like, that. It hears me laughing about it now, but in terms of playing the game, and you create those little like inward narratives or monologues, whatever, in the game yourself, being like, oh, sneak. Fuck, Pam's talking about, oh, just sneak her a beer here. Who the fuck cares? Like, you know, it has all that kind of stuff with it. But I really, really enjoyed it. I guess kind of maybe we don't have to have the episode going for too long, but is there anything that you think that game Stardew Valley is missing?
It's not that it's missing. Like, it probably is missing things, but there is one thing that is just a silly pet peeve that the game has had since its beginning, and they haven't fixed it. And it's like, anytime you go to a festival, the festival might be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You go to the festival, you come out, and it's 10 p.m. every single time, and it's bullshit. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, I had a whole day, and then you fucked me. Like.
Yeah. And you could miss the festivals quite easily as well. Those big events,
you have to be at the specific location. Sometimes you just think it's on the center of town, and then you'd read the notice again, it says like, oh no, at the beach, and then you don't get there in time, and you start to restart the day. And
I think the thing about and that's a good thing that we didn't talk about that's in the game, but I think for each season there's an event, right? So the spring one,
there's several. There's at least 2 or 3 in each
season. Because I remember there's the dance festival, there's the cookout where you have to all bring something and the fair or whatever. But they're quite good in that it made me really want to just like keep playing the game, because I remember the first time was it the mayor, whatever the guy comes to town, and you've got to cook the potluck.
Yeah.
So you have to
make the soup as good as possible.
So I remember I got like, you know, a gold star quality something. I can't remember what it was to put in, but it wasn't the best thing to put into it. And he took a sip. This guy who's testing the thing, who's coming from the city or whatever. That everyone's like, oh, he's coming to town. Everyone, that's and the mayor is like fucking kissing his shoes and shit. And you're like, oh, we have to impress this guy. And I didn't. And the fact that I didn't really like motivated me to be like, I'm going to store all the greatest fucking vegetables I have for next spring's cook-off, you know, because you had the fair then as well, like the autumn fair where you'd bring out the best of your ingredients to put on show to see who'd win.
I love that one.
Yeah, and Halloween after that as well, where you can go into the maze and like Oh, actually, what's the one? There's one where you go to and you can do like a fishing game and like a shooting game.
There's the winter markets where I think some of those
Has-
things
it has
are-
like the-
there's,
the
there's like
fair.
a ship you go on that goes underwater and
Yeah,
you can
that's
fish
fishing,
from it.
all right. But no, there's another one. It's like there's a fair right in the center of town.
Yes.
I think there's like skeletons in the pen and all that.
I think
kind of stuff.
that is the Halloween one, isn't it? I think it's all
Near
because
Halloween, but not
the maze
Halloween.
the maze is up in the top section, and then you can do all the fair games down the bottom. I think they're
What's
connected.
great is that like if you get close to those skeletons, the townspeople are like, "Wow, they look so real." And then you talk to the adventurer who's like, "I grabbed these skeletons myself from the dungeon." Like they are completely legit skeleton monsters, like But all the townspeople think they're puppets. or something.
Yeah. Like it's the kind of place that like if I was forced to go and have to work on a farm somewhere or like inherit a farm, and be like Stardew Valley would be pretty fucking wild and fun place to
Pretty chill. Like,
yeah,
there's
pretty
a lot
chill.
of nice people there.
I suppose we've kind of gone past it, but just to like reflect on
Of
the
course,
gameplay
please.
loop, like when you're doing the community center, like there's obviously like
Oh,
for
we didn't touch on the
everything-
community center at all, actually. Yeah.
So for every like part of the community center that you finish off, you unlock something. And for me, the the immediate you have to aim for first is that minecart. And as soon as you've that minecart, the game just opens up so drastically. You can get everywhere so quick.
Yeah.
And it just like the time constraints that you had before are just gone.
That or getting a horse. Getting a horse
You had
for
to
me
ride
was,
your horse to the minecart and then use the minecart.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
to
don't
save
know if
maximum time.
But you're right, because that was a real frustration thing for me, and this is what I love about dividing your time. As if my own fucking life schedule wasn't hectic enough. Things in Stardew Valley begun to get hectic when you had lots of things on the go at one time. But like, I need to upgrade this, so I better get this over to Gus. But he closes at 4 p.m. and then you're running over there and it's like 4:05 and you're knocking on Gus's door and he's not in. He's like headed off to the tavern. I'm like, for fuck, I have to wait till tomorrow to give Gus.
And then there's a fair on tomorrow, so he's not actually around.
And then you wake up tomorrow and it's raining and you're like, I'm off to the mines, and you just immediately go to the mines like, fuck, I was meant to go see Gus for my pickaxe, whatever. So I love that kind of like, there's just so many, like the game just opens up, and you're right, the community center is such a great part of it as well, because you've got all of these normal, like the tasks to keep your farm running, the tasks to get to know the townsfolk, the tasks just to get to the bottom of the mine, and then you go into this community center and it's like, hey, here's another like 50 things that we require from you.
But
that
it's
if
a
you
great
unlock-
incentive
Yes.
to grow those things
Yes.
or to make those things. Because like I was just like, caviar, where the fuck, what is that? Where am I going to get that? I had no idea to make fish ponds, put fish in it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not going to get me a lot of money. Why the hell would I do that? But
It's
because
for the
it's
community
one of the
center.
achievements,
Yeah.
I'll do it. you know?
Yeah, you're right. That had so much playability. So you said you'd like the days not to be.
Prioritize- Say again?
But I mean, for you were saying in terms of the things that you'd change with the game if you could, that on these things with the fairs or the real time events, whatever you want to call them, you would rather they never sent you back or just immediately made you start the next day afterwards, essentially.
If
you
the
had
fair,
plans, man.
Yeah, if the fair says it goes from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., let me out at 2 p.m. or 2:30 and be like, yeah, you chatted for 30 minutes. That's cute. But if you're like, yeah, there's 8 hours unallocated, I'm like, where the fuck did I go? Like, just standing around.
My
like
farm
a
needs
fucking-
some serious maintenance today.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would have changed, Greg?
Massively. I think about it constantly. But
Really?
well, the biggest one is that at the start of year 2, Kent comes back, and that's the massive difference between year 1 and year 2. But what about year 3? Nothing happens. Year
I think
4,
it
nothing
does.
happens.
I think it does, yeah. Doesn't
Generally, stuff isn't happening in the town.
Sorry, Kent is.
Kent is the guy who comes back
Sam's
from
dad.
the war. He's Jodie's
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah.
And if you learn more about Jodie, she's not happy in that relationship. But it's very, very fun to see how the characters like behave over time. But one of the things I really wanted, and what's in, like I said, this game is closely resembled to Harvest Moon,
Yeah.
Friends of Mineral Town. But in Harvest Moon, more Friends of Mineral Town. What they had in that game was whichever kind of relationship character you went with, the other NPCs in the town would go after the other characters, so everyone would get married at a certain point,
Right, yeah.
So you had limited time to like go for the one you wanted, or someone else is going to go for it.
Yeah.
And they'd have cutscenes where their love grew. I would love if by year 3 or year 4, say like Evelyn and the Granga, maybe they passed on after a while, maybe
Yeah,
Alec
that
yeah.
does happen.
took
Does it?
over.
Yeah.
That does?
In like year 3 or even at the end of year 2, I think George does.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Oh, wow.
But I want
Okay,
more
yeah.
of that. I want lots of it. I want like Emily and your man Gus to like have a relationship, and like she opens up like a fashion industry using his crafts in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
town, and
No,
the
Clive,
town,
you're thinking of.
Clive,
Clive, the
yeah,
tavern
yeah.
fella.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
if Clive and Emily got married and they used each other's skills to make this deadly display for
Market
like
fairs,
different gemstones and
yeah.
different outfits, so it's like Stardew Valley could be put on the map,
Yeah.
and you could get Leia in.
Look at this
with-
guy. He's fucking.
Leia
He's
in
done
with
next
her
year.
sculptures, you know, and she
Yeah.
could marry the poet fella. I can't remember his name. Elliot, isn't it?
Elliot, the guy just
You know,
down by the
because
beach.
They're
Yeah.
the matching pairs, but I would love to see 5-6 years down the line that like the older generation are kind of phased out, and the ones that you were romantically involved with, their future is now the center of the town. I think that would be brilliant, and that's the type of
And I think
extra writing I would play forever if they just introduced a little bit.
just
each
a new,
year.
just a small tweak every year, just to switch up. Yeah, I'd agree. I think that was probably only. I mean, for me playing it, I think getting through year 3, and the winter's always tough, just like real life, Winter's tough. I think by the winter of year 2 or 3, I was like, I need something more than the fucking market fair.
At the fairs,
keep me going.
it's all the same dialogue each year.
Yes,
like
yeah.
even though it could be your 5th year, and Abigail's still like doing the Easter egg hunt like she's 10 years old,
Yeah.
even though you've been married to her for 5 years,
Well, we also glossed over, they did also introduce the old thing when you finish community center. Now Willie gets in touch and says he's unlocked the back door in his shop, and you go to his shop and he's got a little boat that you can fix up, and when you fix up Willie's boat, he takes it to Ginger Island, and that's
the
not a
1.5
euphemism.
update.
So
Go
yeah,
on.
you go to Ginger Island, and while you're there, it's like an abandoned island. You don't have a place to sleep on or anything like that. But while you're there, you get challenged to find like a load of coconuts or. Well, we talked about this before.
Walnuts.
Walnuts.
I think it's a bullshit
You have
quest.
to go
They're
find a
so
lot of
hard
walnuts.
to find.
But it's just a massive new island with about like 8 to 10 sections of it, like maps, like different screens and whatever else.
It is. So what I will say is, the game definitely, it is a gift that keeps on giving for the stuff that you're working on. So like the fact that Pam gets on the bus and you can go out to the desert, then there's other places to see, other things to do in those areas. Like the game expands like that, but I see Craig's point in being like, I just like a more real-time events with the characters developing in a different way as well.
But even more like daytime trips to, was it Hozu City? I think you see it once or twice in a couple of people's backstories where someone goes for the day, because one of the characters is in the band, Sebastian, and the other
the blonde hair Sam, is it?
Sam, yeah, and they're playing in a band, and you actually go to Hozu City that one time just to see them perform. I'd be like, a couple more trips out there would be fucking brilliant, or even get a day pass.
But he did bring out, and none of us played it, I don't think, but that big update that he brought out, the 1.6 update for Stardew Valley, where it had a whole other thing. It was like the coffee something. Oh, I can't remember. There's a whole other
See,
thing.
this is why I really wanted Chris to be here, because he could tell us about these updates, or even just tell us about the mods that have all these updates. That other
people writing this shit for
Yeah.
because I mean, yeah, exactly. If you're playing on PC, it's probably never ending.
If I had a PC, I don't think I'd ever stop playing Stardew Valley. I'd just go from mod to mod.
Yeah, just to keep it getting better and better. I guess also to finish off, then I because this is a game, so we're not going to go for a hard review, really, in any sort of serious way, but. Colm, would you recommend this game? Do you rate this game highly in the world of farming sims?
I would rate this highly in the world of games in general, and as
Nice.
farming sims go, it's probably like top tier. And then in terms of just general games like that, like I got Tori to play it, and before we had played, I tried to get her into play The Last of Us. And like she was,
they are two very different games.
So The Last of Us didn't go very well. No, she was enjoying it. She was just more enthralled with the fact she's in the game world, and like at the beginning, it's like very much a narrative driven. Like you have to walk here, and there's nothing really happening. But she's like, I'm just gonna look over here and like see if there's any items or anything. It's like, oh, you can do that kind of stuff later in the game. At the beginning, there's not really anything for you to find. She's like, oh, I'm just gonna check anyway. I was like, oh god,
Are you just getting annoyed a little bit?
I was like, there's nothing here. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's a brick, but don't worry, you don't really need that.
You don't need that brick, you know. What about
it's
you?
mad because like I was trying to get Geraldine to play Stardew Valley with me, and she would love The Last of Us. She's playing fucking Final Fantasy Rebirth right now. She played the first one, but she took one look at Stardew and was like, "Oh, I don't really like the graphics on this." I was like, "Really?"
But it is funny how in that first look it can turn you off certain games and it's funny because I love how Stardew Valley looks and how it like plays, but Andrew has kept trying to get me to play Terraria. And I don't like how that one, because I know that it's the same pixel art, but it's from a different perspective, and it's
like Minecraft kind of.
like 2D Minecraft almost, the side scrolling Minecraft. But it is funny because I mean that game, Andrew only put up the game Andrew likes, he really fucking pushes, man. But he only put an article up on the group chat there recently where he was talking about like, look, this is outsold, Terraria is outsold Super Mario Brothers, and I was like, get the fuck out of here with your Terraria. But it is funny that she could look at something like Stardew, which we all very much love, Geraldine, she'd be like, no, not for me.
I guess because when I talked about it, she had built it up in her head, and then when she saw what it actually looked like, she just was completely
like, fuck, I don't want to play this. Would you recommend Stardew Valley or rate it highly, Craig?
I think it's an amazing game that like anyone who enjoys that type of thing should play, because I think there's something in it for everyone. If you just enjoy the fishing mini game, it's a great game for that alone.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the foraging, with the relationship building, because I just really want to see what all the townspeople do and how they interact. That's my favorite thing. But the mines is great. I didn't even know you could throw bombs everywhere to like get stuff faster. Like, yeah, there's something for everyone, I think, in this game, and it's a brilliant game.
I think that's where I would what I would finish on for me, is that the game as a farming sim, it's got a bit more. It's not just a farming sim as far as I'm concerned. It's like it's a relationship sim, it's a farming sim, and it's got that little level of kind of action monster-y hunting thing in the mines as well. It covers so much ground and covers all of it well. Like the stuff in the mines, the fighting with the sword and stuff like that is so basic, but it feels so good. Mm-hmm. Like everything is done, even though it's done very simply.
I would love them to add a bit more to that, though. I feel like it could be a whole new game in the mines.
See, what I like about it is that like they give you different swords and different boots, and they'll have like different effects. And that for me, because I was like, I know I'm not playing a dungeon crawling game, so those little upgrades were enough for me in considering the world I was living in. I was like, yeah, I love that. And no, for me, I mean, I know the game is approaching, well, like, you know, it's 8 years old at this stage. If you haven't played Stardew Valley, go out and play Stardew Valley. If you like farming sims and you haven't played Stardew Valley, you don't like farming sims. You're a fake fan, and you need to go play Stardew Valley. But yeah, I think that's it for Games Club on Stardew Valley, guys. Great hustle. Thanks for helping me revisit a game that's 8 years old. I love that.
No
appreciate it.
Very good.
We're going to hop onto a post show where I'm going to tell the guys about my the cast I've compiled for the Baldur's Gate 3 party. If you're interested in hearing that, you can check it out at patreon.com/The Gift of Gaming for the cost of a coffee a month. And there's loads of other stuff up there. So much content. So if you're like, I can't wait another week to listen to the Gift of Gaming podcast, don't worry, you don't have to. Go to patreon.com/The Gift of Gaming. Colm, Craig, you guys have been great. This has been great. And to our listeners, as always and forever, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.